All right, went ahead and purchased yet another budget-friendly, I think best in its class, single station lat, or you could say pulley, single pulley, plate loaded machine, the GDLF. And I picked this up alongside my previous video, which was the cheapest 3x3 squat rack that you could find. And I made a video a while back about if I was starting all over again, best budget-friendly machines. This one in particular also stood out because it's been selling quite well on Amazon. Has a lot of really great positive reviews, which always kind of says something because at the very least it shows it's not going to break in the span of a few weeks or even months. And the price with free shipping is pretty much unbeatable. I don't know how these guys even turn a profit when you consider the shipping of these big large boxes that it comes in. This thing usually fluctuates in price between, like, I'd see like as low as 130 upwards to like 160. I think I purchased this around the 150, 160 mark. I do like covering these things because these provide a lot of options and open doors for people otherwise wouldn't be able to get into, say, building a home gym. And just like I've said before in the past in this channel, yes, functional trainers are great, but in my opinion, at least my own personal needs, if I had a single stack, which I think I reviewed the cheapest single stack on the internet too, I'll link that video down below as well. If I just had a one pulley mechanism that had a top pulley and a bottom pulley, I pretty much would be good to go. Also considering that really this thing is also a lat station. So some single cable pulleys, you might need to get some sort of a specialized attachment. So all those things considered, the price point, how cheap it is, the positive reviews, this thing's incredibly light. You can see the shipping here. I'm jumping right into it, guys. Shipping came pretty fast, easy. Again, it sounded like a broken record. All this stuff, you know, came easy to assemble, packaged well. Took me about an hour myself to assemble, so very basic. But I was not expecting to kind of be blown away. I mean, even when you see the pictures, you kind of know what you're going to get. You get some very cheap, although workable attachments. A very simple lat pull down, which even though it's cold, I'm kind of warmed up now in the garage. It's not that cold because it doesn't feel like kind of cold steel. It is powder coated. There's a very cheap, extremely cheap little curl or tricep bar. Where it counts and kind of my assumption, just like with other cheap things I purchased in the past, it functionally works where it's supposed to. Which, like I said, today was just like a back workout. Did some lat pulls, some seated cable rows. Lat pull feels totally fine. I'm 6 foot. You can see this thing is actually a low clearance. I could even put this in my new basement gym that I put together. I don't know where I'll put this. I might give this thing away because it was so cheap, but very short. But you can adjust it with the seat height and also the knee pads to really get to a good setting. At least works for me where I can get full extension. So I'm 6 foot. Take that forever you will. I think if you're around like 6'2", 6'4", this might be a little short for you. But I would say lat pull down, the top pulley in general for triceps. I already did my arms the other day, so I wasn't doing a whole lot of arm stuff. That feels totally fine. The downside maybe is in the seated position, so the cable is a little bit low to the ground. So for seated rows, it definitely works out fine and is doable, but the cable is just a little bit low. Again, if you had to make do with this, I'd be totally fine with it. However, when you do stand up, you actually can put this metal foot pad down to kind of counterbalance the machine. And when I was doing things like bicep curls, even if you got more extension, the cable is going to rub against the seat. Maybe I could adjust it a little bit, but I couldn't find any of the workaround. You basically got to lean back a little bit. So for cable curls, unfortunately, this thing isn't the best for that. All right, getting up close, showing you guys some details. Now I was pushing and pulling this thing around and I found that these things like to kind of pop off, but that again is me pushing it, moving it around, not a giant deal. Up here, something I thought was a little kind of odd. There is just a straight bar that slides through here like other machines, so you can put standard plates on there. But this little thing just kind of comes right on and off. There isn't really a way to kind of seal this on, at least that I could find. They did give you these things, but I'm not sure. They said to put these in the front, but I'm not sure why, because again, those just kind of pop off. They do give you some clips for standard and also 2-inch or Olympic plates down there. Cable, we don't really know. It's not too much to write home about. So here is the foot holder that again you can put down to stand down to counterbalance the machine, which is nice. The only downside, and you'll see some shots of it, is that this thing can really kind of flex. I don't think it would, you know, with the left pressure would totally completely bend, but it'll flex a little bit. And you could even drop these down, just put your feet here and brace yourself that way as well. Simple pull knob here, and I think this is the lowest setting, let's just see. So actually you can go a little bit lower. So I was 6 foot and I actually felt like I was pretty good. So you might be able to pull it off if you are 6'2", 6'4". Again, some areas where you're taking some shortcuts. These things are just, you know, little foam, not super squishy. But the issue I found is that just kind of getting in and out, I found these things like to kind of, they come off really easily. And you can see there's not a whole lot to that mechanism there. So final thoughts, at least for me personally, I think this thing is definitely a worthwhile option considering the price. You really cannot beat this thing if you're just looking for a simple lat station. Say you have other things like adjustable dumbbells, maybe even a squat rack. sliding bench trainer, resistance bands, stuff I promote on the channel, and you want something that's a good vertical pull for the price point, you already got some weights laying around. This thing, again, it's hard to beat. It is very light, so it's easy to kind of portably move around. There are, of course, the shortcomings I addressed, but the more I've reviewed these very cheap things, I'm at the point now where I just tell people really it's two directions you can go. I would say go incredibly cheap, get your feet in the water, or if you don't have a lot of budget, just go cheap in that route. Otherwise, go high-end, go really expensive, maybe USA made, and go that route for super sturdy. I think that middle of the ground, I'm not gonna throw out any companies' names and throw them under the bus, but there are a lot of companies that are producing stuff from overseas that I would say are almost comparable in quality, but are costing maybe $300, $400, $500 more. If this thing was, say, $400, $500, I would say, no, it is not worth this, but for $100-something, that's where I think this thing kind of comes in for most people. Let me know your thoughts about it, guys, down below in the description box. As always, if this thing breaks or whatever, I will pin a comment down below. And please, guys, if you like content like this, please consider sharing, liking, subscribing. If you guys have not, please drop a comment down below for the algorithms, or very least, let me know what you guys want to see in the future. I try and make this channel as geared towards the audience, and also personally, I gotta like what I'm talking about too, but I really try and cater to what I think people out there might need or be interested in. See you guys on the next one.